Alrighty, so أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين. Hatice Beza, whenever you're ready, please begin. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. We are reading from the 26th flash, and we will be reading the 12th hope for us on page 309. The 12th hope. One time I was being held in the district of Barla in the province of Isparta in a distressing captivity called exile. In a truly wretched state, suffering both illness and old age, an absence from home and in a village alone with no one, barred from all company and communication. Then, in his perfect mercy, Almighty God bestowed a light on me concerning the subtle points and mysteries of the all-wise Quran, which was a source of consolation for me. With it, I tried to forget my pitiful, sad state. I was able to forget my native land, my friends and relations, but alas, there was one person I could not forget, and that was Abdul Rahman, who was both my nephew and my spiritual son, and my most devoted student, and my bravest friend. He had parted from me 6 or 7 years previously. Neither he knew where I was so that he could hasten to help and console me, nor did I know his situation so that I could correspond with him and we could confide in each other. Now, in my old age, I was in need of someone loyal and self-sacrificing like him. Then, out of the blue, someone gave me a letter. I opened it and saw it was from Abdul Rahman, written in a way which showed his true self. A part of it that clearly shows 3 instances of wonder working has been included among the pieces of the 27th letter. It made me weep, and it still makes me weep. The late Abdul Rahman wrote in the letter seriously and sincerely that he was disgusted with the pleasures of the world, and that his greatest desire was to reach me and to look to my needs in my old age, just as I had looked to his when he was young. He also wanted to help me with his capable pen in spreading the mysteries of the Quran, my true duty in this world. He even wrote in his letter, "Send me 20 or 30 treaties, and I'll write out 20 or 30 copies of each and get others to write them." His letter made me feel very hopeful in respect of the world, with the thought that I had found the bold student who was so intelligent as to be a genius and would assist me more loyally and with greater attachment than a true son. I forgot my torturous captivity, loneliness, exile, and old age. He had obtained a copy of the 10th World about belief in the hereafter before writing the letter. It was as if it had been a remedy for him, curing all the spiritual wounds he had received during those 6 or 7 years. He then wrote the letter to me as if awaiting his death, with a truly strong and shining belief. Then, 1 or 2 months later, while thinking of once again passing a happy worldly life together with Abdul Rahman, alas, I received news of his death. I was so shaken that 5 years later, I am still under its effect. It afflicted me with a grief, sorrow, and sense of separation far exceeding the torturous captivity aloneness, exile, old age, and illness I was then suffering. Half of my private world had died with the death of my mother, and now with Abdul Rahman's death, the other half died. My ties with the world were now completely cut, for if he had lived, he could have been both a powerful help in my duties, which look to the hereafter, and a worthy successor to fill my place completely after me, and a most self-sacrificing friend and consolation. He would have been my cleverest student and companion, and a most trustworthy protector and owner of the risale-i. Yes, in regard to humanity, such losses are extremely distressing and painful for people like me. It's true outwardly I was trying to endure it, but a fierce storm was raging in my spirit. If from time to time solace proceeding from the Quran's light had not consoled me, I would not have been able to endure it. At the time, I used to wander alone in the mountains and valleys of Barla, sitting in lonely places amid my sorrows. Pictures of the happy life I had spent in former times with my loyal students like Abdul Rahman passed through my imagination like the cinema. Since due to old age and exile, I was swiftly affected. They broke my resistance. Suddenly, the sacred meaning of the verse, "Everything shall perish save his countenance. His is the command, and to him shall you return." Chapter 28, verse 88, was unfolded to me. Suddenly, the sacred meaning of the verse, "Everything shall perish save his countenance. His is the command, and to him shall you return," was unfolded to me. It caused me to declare, "O Eternal One, you alone are eternal. O Eternal One, you alone are eternal," and truly consoled me. Then, inspired by this verse's meaning, as is described in the treatise, "The highway of the practices of the Prophet, upon whom be peace," I saw myself, while in that lonely valley and sad state, at the head of 3 vast corpses. I saw myself, while in that lonely valley and sad state, at the head of 3 vast corpses. One was the sight of myself as a gravestone on the grave of the 55 dead Sayyids of the 55 years who had been buried in the course of my life. One was the sight of myself as a gravestone on the grave of the 55 dead Sayyids of the 55 years who had been buried in the course of my life. The second corpse was the vast corpse of all my fellow men who had died since the time of Adam, upon whom be peace, and had been buried in the grave of the past. I saw myself as a minuscule ant-like living creature at the head of that corpse, wandering over the face of the century which was like its gravestone. The third corpse was the greater world, which, like human beings and traveling worlds which every year die, would also, in accordance with the above verse, die. This was embodied before my imagination. The third corpse was the greater world which, like human beings and the traveling worlds which every year die, would also, in accordance with the above verse, die. This was embodied before my imagination. Then the verse, "But if they turn away, say, God suffices. There is no God but He. In Him do I place my trust. He is the sustainer of the throne of glory supreme." Illuminated with its true solace and inextinguishable light, that awesome vision arising from my grief at Abdur Rahman's death. It came to my assistance with its elusive meaning, which states, since Almighty God exists, He takes the place of everything. Since He is eternal, He is truly sufficient. A single manifestation of His grace takes the place of the whole world. A single manifestation of His grace takes the place of the whole world. One manifestation of His light infuses with life the three vast corpses mentioned above, showing that they are not corpses, but having completed their duties, have parted for other worlds. This mystery has been explained in the third flash, so that sufficing with the above, here I only say that the two repetitions of the phrase, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, which illustrates the meaning of everything shall perish save His countenance, to the end of the verse, saved me from the distressing, sad state. I'm just going to read that again. This mystery has been explained in the third flash, so that sufficing with the above, here I only say that the two repetitions of the phrase, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, which illustrates the meaning of everything shall perish save His countenance, to the end of the verse, save me from the distressing, sad state. It was like this. The first time I uttered, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, it began to cure me like a surgical operation on the endless spiritual wounds arising from the passing of the world, and of the friends in this world to whom I was attached, and from the ties binding me broken. It began, the first time I uttered, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, it began to cure me like a surgical operation on the endless spiritual wounds arising from the passing of the world, and of the friends in this world to whom I was attached, and from the ties binding me being broken. The second time the phrase, O Eternal One, you alone are eternal, was both a salve and antidote for all those innumerable wounds. That is to say, you are eternal. If the rest depart, let them. You are enough for me. Since you abide forever, a single manifestation of your mercy is sufficient in place of all transient things. Since you exist, everything exists. For the person who knows of the connection with your existence established through belief, and Islam acts in accordance with that relation. I'm just going to read that sentence again. Since you exist, everything exists for the person who knows of the connection with your existence, established through belief, and Islam acts in accordance with that relation. Established through belief in Islam, acts in accordance with that relation. Transience and decline, death and non-existence are a veil, a renewal, like traveling through different domains. Thinking this, my painful, sad, grievous, dark, awesome, separation-stained state of mind was transformed into a happy, joyful, pleasurable, luminous, lovable, familiar state. My tongue and heart, indeed all the particles of my being, through the tongue of disposition, exclaimed, all praise be to God. 1,000th of that manifestation of mercy is this. I returned to Barlow from that sorrowful valley in melancholy state of mind, where I saw that a young man called Kulun Mustafa had come to ask me some questions about the 5 daily prayers and ablutions. Although I did not accept the visitors at that hour, my spirit perceived, as though with foresight, his sincerity, of spirit and the future valuable services he would perform for the risale-i. There's a footnote here that says, with his fine pen, Mustafa's younger brother, Küçük Ali, wrote out more than 700 copies of parts of the risale-i, and himself became an Abdurrahman. He also trained many other Abdurrahmans. Although I did not accept visitors at that hour, my spirit perceived as though with foresight his sincerity of spirit and the future valuable services he would perform to the risale-i, and I did not turn him away, I accepted him. Another footnote here which says, he truly showed that he was not worthy of being accepted, but also worthy of the future. An event confirming that Ustad's prediction that Mustafa, the first student of the risale-i, was worthy of the future. The day preceding the eve of Eid al-Adha, the feast of sacrifices, Ustad intended to go out to take some air. When he sent me to fetch the horse, I said to him, "Don't you go down? I'll lock the door from the back and go out from the wood store." Ustad said, "No, you go out of the door," and he went down. After I had gone out, he bolted the door after me. I went out and he returned upstairs. He then slept. A while later, Kınaönlü Mustafa arrived together with Haji Osman. Ustad was not accepting anyone, and he was not going to accept anyone. He would have never taken in two people together, especially at that hour, and would have turned them away. Nevertheless, when our brother Kınaönlü Mustafa, whom we are talking about here, came with Haji Osman, it was as though the door said to him through the tongue of disposition, "Ustad will not accept you, but I'll open for you." And although it was bolted from the inside, the door opened of its own accord for Mustafa. That is to say, just as the future verified that Ustad had said about him, what Ustad had said about him, Mustafa is worthy of the future, so did the door testify to it. Signed, Husrev. Yes, what Husrev has written is correct, and I confirm it. The door both greeted this blessed Mustafa in my place and accepted him, Sayyid Nursi. It later became clear that Almighty God sent Mustafa to me as a sample in place of Abdurrahman, who, as a worthy successor, would carry out completely the duty of a true heir in the work of the risale-i, as though saying, "I took one Abdurrahman from you, but I shall give you 30 like the Mustafa you see in return, who will be both students and nephews and spiritual sons and brothers and self-sacrificing comrades in this duty for religion." Yes, praise be to God, he gave me 30 Abdurrahmans. So I told myself, "O weeping heart, since you have seen the sample and through him he has healed the most serious of your spiritual wounds, be assured that he will heal all the rest of them. Since you have seen the sample and through him he has healed the most serious of your spiritual wounds, be assured that he will heal all the rest of them. My elderly brothers and sisters, who like me have lost at the time of their old age a child or relative they love dearly, and who have to bear the searing sorrows of separation together with the burdens of old age. You have understood from my situation that although it was much harsher than yours, it was cured and healed by a verse of the Quran. This being so, there are remedies in that sacred pharmacy to heal all your difficulties. If you have recourse to it through belief and make use of those remedies, through worship, the heavy burdens of your old age and your sorrows will be alleviated considerably. If you have recourse to it through belief and make use of those remedies, through worship, the heavy burdens of your old age and your sorrows will be alleviated considerably. The reason for writing this long piece was to seek more prayers for Abdurrahman, not to weary you. Also, my purpose in showing my worst wound in an extremely grievous and unpleasant way, which may upset you unduly and put you off, is to demonstrate what a wondrous remedy and brilliant light is the sacred antidote of the all-wise Quran. And that is the end of the 12th hope. It was a relatively long reading. To share my immediate takeaways, the author here is calling back to a time when he was in a terrible state of being. I guess both like physically, he was in exile, and he was also suffering from loneliness and other spiritual wounds. And at such a time, he gets a letter from his nephew. And he goes on to further talk about how his nephew later passed away, and someone else who will be of great service to what the author refers to as his mission in life, to serve the Quran, comes by the name of Mustafa. But I guess in his reflection of these particular events that happened to the author, more than the events themselves, there is this sense of transience and everything kind of perishing away that the author is lamenting upon. And he refers to the verse, chapter 28, 88, verse 88, everything shall perish save his countenance, his is the command, and to him you shall return. And reflects upon what it means for him, oh eternal one, you alone are eternal, and how that became a remedy in part to his state of being. In addition to that, he talks about the 3 different sort of corpses that he sees in that state of being. One being his own gravestone, another being the gravestone of all men that have been buried of the past since Adam, or all of mankind who have died up to this point. And the third corpse he refers to as the greater world, which refers to everything that has passed away. And then yeah, he ties it into one other verse towards the end, which is chapter 9, verse 129, that goes, but if they turn away, say, God suffices me. There is no God but he. In him do I place my trust. He is the sustainer of the throne of glory supreme. And he further reflects on his the experiences that he has had with Abdurrahman and the new guy, Mustafa, and how this verse came to console him or give him solace through the news of, I guess, everything is in a constant state of being, right? Everything is constantly subject to change, and everything is constantly going and coming. And on one hand, the one, I'm not coming or going on my own accord. He says, the corpses having completed their duties, have departed for other worlds. This sense of like a completion of a duty and being returned to one's source, if you will, maybe another sort of circle. There's a comment by Adi Mermer. Would you like to read your comment and expand upon it? Okay, please go ahead.
So just this delicate subject, very sensitive, emotional, and true reality, human reality, but everybody can feel it within themselves. Of course, the main subject of the text that you read today is everything shall perish save his countenance. Of course, his countenance is the a bit vague expression. We have to think about it, what it can be. But what I wanted to share with you, he said at the end of, towards the end of the text, the sacred pharmacy to heal all your difficulties, Quran. Quran healed, cured, and healed by a verse of the Quran. So the Quran itself says also, as I put in the chat box, it says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَا يَزِدُ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. So it is so interesting, the context of, the structure of this verse says, when we revealed, we bestow from on high through this Quran. What did he reveal with this Quran? All that gives health, in brackets, to the spirit. Of course, the author is very much aware of it, and he used the Quran as a source of healing, curing, for his spirit, his understanding, because he found that this, the solution, as he called it, surgical operation on his spirit, so that he felt relieved from all the burdens that he was undergoing. So that we understand that this healing is especially for the soul, for the spirit. If one say, look, the Quran is speaking to me, and I consist of two parts, in my spirit and my body, and also Quran is a source of the spirit for my body, I wouldn't reject this idea. Why? Because spiritual positions have, any kind of positions have an effect on my bodily the metabolism, or my bodily functioning, my bodily system. For example, if I undergo very heavy stress, I start hearing, seeing the things coming out, I don't know how they are called, on your face, or here and there, the rash happens on your skin, or your stomach really stretches out, doesn't work properly. I think we know that spirit uses the body, But a body is another thing. But at the same time, if you are using a car, if something happens to car, what happened? What happens? You will be disturbed. Or if you are really not under control psychologically, you start hitting the car here and there. They are somehow related. So we can understand this verse as saying that we revealed the verse in order to be a source of cure and mercy as well. Warahmatullah. Source of mercy, comfort, relaxation, having a comfortable life, relaxed life, happy life in this Quran, from this Quran. But since it is my happiness, my healing, it must have something to do with my body, but primarily for my spirit, because my bodily problems is manageable and temporary anyways, but my spirit is not temporary, it is permanent. It is not going to be destroyed at the end of my physical life, biological life in this world, because it doesn't change. It is not subject to time. It is not subject to material limitations. It is free from the effect of the order of this universe. It is a different kind of existence within the universe. So we understand that it is really the Quran uh, proposes to us, offers to us the means of any kind of healings. And also mercy, it means really the way, complete comfort, extra, what we don't deserve. But this is for believers, lil mu'minin. This is for believers. Why? If someone doesn't believe in God, and of course not enough believing in God in order to receive the healing and mercy, doesn't believe that God speaks and shows me my way, how I should really lead my life in this world in order to choose the best option, which is appropriate to my purpose of existence. So it shows that if you act in this way, if you understand the existence along this way, you will be comfortable in your life. You will have extra grace from me. But the thing is to believe that the Creator speaks and guides me. So most of the people say, when I believe in God, everything is fine, everything will be fine. But that is the starting point, necessary point, essential point. I understand, I appreciate, yes, without which we cannot go anywhere. But at the same time, not enough, not sufficient. We have to understand our position within the universe. Who am I in this universe? What this universe is all about? I have to locate myself within the universe in such a way that, look, my creator, the creator of the universe who put me in this position, he must answer my human questions. He must guide my human questions. He must give me instructions how to really utilize my free will, how to manage with my choices, because the universe says your life must be meaningful, purposeful. I understand from the universe, but okay, it is meaningful, purposeful. How can I fulfill this purpose? How can I obtain the meaning? And universe says, there must be. Where is it? Universe says, look, I am meaningful, and I have not enough information from the universe because you are meaningful, I understand. You say that you have a creator, I understand. I'm speaking to the universe now. You say that you have a creator, I understand. You must have, I understand. But what is the purpose of my existence? Universe is silent. We must understand the importance of belief or coming to the conclusion, being convinced that the creator of the universe, creator of the human beings within the universe, must give a guidance. Tell me something, what am I supposed to do here? So how can I really utilize my free will? Which direction I should take? Which interpretation I should follow? For example, when I am ill, when I am in despair, as the author is beautifully, very colorfully described his despair because of the death of his nephew, or expectations fell down, scattered, collapsed. So what shall I do now? I was hoping a lot and it is gone. Oh, yeah, I understand. It's a very vivid description of the despair. It is real, human. Let's assume that he found the cure in the verse, which is that everything shall perish, save his countenance. Of course, we have to talk his countenance. What it means, his countenance, his face. Some translations say face. What does it mean? But anyways, everything shall perish, but something else is not. What is this? Yeah? And how can I communicate with it? This verse that I posted here says the Quran describes it for you and saves your problems, answers your questions. If you understand that your creator's guidance is very much needed by you. But believing in God is not enough. That's what we don't realize usually. I'm not saying you, but usually people feel sufficed with that. My universe is a creator. I understand it. I appreciate it. It's a wonderful work. Yeah. And really, he's a great creator. Really, look at the universe. Come on, how can you underestimate his capacities? Correct. Okay. How about my life? How about my questions? How about my concerns? When it comes there, belief in God is not enough. But it is an initiation point now. It is a trigger. If there is a conscious creator which is called God, then he must tell me something that I cannot get the answer from the universe. That is the missing point in billions of people, not millions, including the Muslims. Well, although they call it the people of book, all of them, Christians, Jews, or Muslims. Yeah, but do we really understand that God must speak to me? Rather than saying that, oh, well, there's God and we have the religion of God. Buddhists say, not Buddhists, Hindus say, well, this is a religion which propagates the creator of the universe, God. Christians does the same thing. And Jews also very strong supporter of their Torah, which also they confirm that it is revealed by God. But to have a book in your hand which claims to be the speech of the Creator is a completely different method that I should need the necessity of the speech of the Creator to guide me. That is belief. We misuse this, saying that I believe in the books, as if, okay, that is, I am a Muslim. I have a book which says it is God's word, God's speech. That is, I believe in it, because, but belief is not that. This is the physical reality that you have a book in your hand. Do you feel the need to get guidance from your Creator? Question 1. The following question, what are you going to do? Or which kind of need you have that this guidance, the book, will guide you? So the book will speak to you. Be careful. We have to be all careful here. The book will speak to me as much as I am asking the questions to it. Guide me in this field, in this area of my life. That is what I need, because I need guidance in this area. Practically speaking, to make a comparison, not to blame anybody and criticize anybody, we usually use the book in order to learn the rituals or transaction rules, which are called Sharia in fiqh terms, in jurisprudence, rulings. But Nursi doesn't do that. Nursi uses the book to overcome his stress, to overcome, to cure his desperate despair. It's a completely different utilization of the book, because Nursi, as far as I know, is very much aware that the Quran is necessary in order to get guidance for my human needs, including how to perform my rituals, but it's a minor matter. The major subject of the Quran is, which covers 95% of the Quran, to give us spiritual guidance. I feel that I missed this point. And in the community, believers community, the community of the people of book, their texts in their hand, whatever it is, claim to be God's word, is not used for this purpose in general. Exceptionals are always exceptionals, and it happens, but exception doesn't spoil the general principle. Generally, Quran is not used or to cure the spiritual needs, used for practical needs. What to do, how to make the transactions. Whatever you do will be halal. Whatever you do will be haram. Get the guidance from the Quran. That's what also commonly used phrase is. We have to follow the Quran in order to know halal and haram. It means permissible ones, prohibited ones, actions. How about your human questions? As the author is demonstrating how we should benefit from the Quran. Mainly, the Quran is the source of cure and healing for spiritual needs. Yes, it has 5% of the Quran deals with our worldly affairs, It is not excluded. It is not denied. We should not deny it. Yes, it must be used, but it is used only. It is when you use it, you will be concerned only 5% of the Quran. Mere, main, major teaching of the Quran, introducing who the creator of the universe is, rather than there must be a creator of the universe. It is different matter. If there must be a creator of the universe, you don't need divine guidance. But who is this creator? What does he want from me? Why did he create me? Not action-wise. Which kind of relationship I should have with him? It is not commonly practiced. It is not commonly taught, educated, taught as well. I wasn't taught. I studied a very high level in religious Islamic studies. I've never encountered such education at all. From the age of 12 until really, to be honest, 35, I have been heavily engaged, practically engaged with religious educations, institutions, teaching Islam and related to Islam. It's a long time. I've never heard anything like this. Okay, in the civil side, this is the official education. Civil side, how many times you heard, I don't know, among us, there are the people who I'm sure regularly joined Friday prayer using this verse. Yeah, John, everything shall perish save his countenance. Huh? كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه. How many khutbahs, how many preachings, how many conferences, how many public speech, how many videos have you seen? Come on, be frank. Have you ever seen any video about كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه? Everything will perish, shall perish, except his face, his countenance. Come on, men, especially men goes, Muhammad Said, awesome. Come on, share. Be frank. How many times have you heard this kind of khutbah? Every week people speak to you.
None.
None, not even one. Come on, be generous.
Actually, I was typing while you were saying the things. I was kind of trying to follow. That's why I'm not really sure about the question. Can you put it again, please?
How many times have you heard a preaching?
Well, preaching it. I have a big problem with the preachings because it doesn't satisfy my needs, as the author here goes with his sorrows, separations, contradictions, and try to use them to make them meaningful through the speech of his creator. This concept, I have never seen this concept, using your sorrows to get guidance.
So in the videos, have you seen any video about it?
I don't remember.
Have you heard any sermon about it?
Beside the discussions that I'm joining here in
No. That the question is very straightforward. Have you heard any public speech about this verse?
Probably I don't remember in this way. Probably I did. I heard public speeches around this verse, revolving around this verse, but in a different way.
No, do they really, have you heard any khutbah about this verse? Khutbah, sermon?
I don't remember.
Okay. How about other among us? You may join Friday prayers.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I think it goes without saying that generally the way that Friday sermons are set up, the approach to the verses are a little bit more different and external to oneself, generally speaking, and they do not address the at least as far as to the extent that I've joined, we don't talk never have I seen someone talk about, you know, the sorrows or the despairs of the soul from experiencing the transience of the things around me or anything of that nature. So to answer your question, I think the answer would be no.
No. Okay. Asim says 0. Now, what this must be a sign of something. What is this? The sign of something that we claim that we believe in the books. In fact, community-wide, we don't know what believing in the Revelation book means. And even we are not aware of that such a thing exists. We are not aware that such a thing exists. We may find an exaggeration, but such a thing means, yes, there is a creator, but definitely this creator must be a speaking, communicating, addressing my needs is creator. That side is dead. Of course, we have to be alarmed. What's going on? How can I trust this community? How can I trust this teaching that I keep listening to, or going to joining? How many times? And why should I waste my time? I have to take care of my own need. I have to wake up. Wow, how important this that we are missing. We have to reach out to the people. Look, man, are you aware that such a thing exists? Such a thing you need, and the answer is there? Unfortunately. First, within ourselves, we must be very much satisfied so that we have to just say that, no, look, I'm going to pick up this responsibility. No awakening. No excitement to help people. We run to help people's bodily needs. We are dead to run, not to run, to walk, just to help somebody's spiritual need. Very lazy. Although we are open to this source, which is very much conscious of the nature of the Quran, what it is. That's what we are reading the text. The solution, the cure, healing, he says, I can find only in this world. Everything shall perish, except his countenance. And I am relaxed. I am happy now. I am satisfied with my life. I am satisfied with the events or anything happens in my life. Perishable things. But I must find the eternal one, permanent one, his countenance. absolute being's countenance, coming face to face, realizing his presence, and everything perishable is from him, but he is not himself. Absolute being. So attaching yourself to his being, identifying yourself to his being, looking for every answer from him, all for your all questions, etc. But the second part, I'm sorry, I know I'm speaking a lot. I know that. Okay, I don't know. Oh, there may be some other people who would like to say, I will stop and okay, I won't speak anymore. ولا يزد الظالمين إلا خسارا. What does it mean? He doesn't increase the wrongdoers, diverted ones, out of track people, doesn't get to the right track, doesn't prefer to be on the right track, zalim. But it increases nothing but for their ruin. Why? I mean, they are not aware of it even. They are not aware of it. Okay. Look at the world. Look at the people, not all of them. In this case, not everybody who doesn't believe in the Quran or is not aware of the nature of the Quran. We have to be honest, man. Even those people who are aware of the Quran are not really aware of the mission of the Quran. Just to believe in the book. That's it. Claim that this is from God. I accept. That's it. For what? Well, that is what the requirements of our religion is. So one of the requirements, so I said, okay, this is a wonderful book. Language is really brilliant, correct. I'm not saying no. And gives a lot of information which is beyond human perception. Okay, how about benefiting from it? I learn my transactions and rituals from it. Come, 90% of the Quran is dead for this person. This is the people who are aware that the Quran is the book of God. How about other people? We don't know. We don't know. But the people. But in general, we are looking at the case. If somebody doesn't want to admit his reality that he has a creator, he has a Lord over his being, or his humanity, human being, and when they hear and they don't want to submit themselves to him, they don't want to follow any guidance from him in whatever the sense it is, no guidance, disregard it. When they hear what the Quran says, whatever it says, I am your creator, that's enough, they feel disturbed. When they see the believing people, they feel disturbed, unless they follow their path. They start, why don't you drink? What is wrong with it? Just get it a little amount. You don't get drunk and completely out of control. No, nothing happens. You are so prejudiced. Whereas you don't do it, they want you to join them. And the Quran says this as well. Unless you join them, they won't be satisfied with you. Now, that is the reality still. But what are they doing? For example, in these political conditions, we are not interested in political side of it, but they don't want Muslims to be presence here. Why? Their presence may cause trouble. Right now, Muslims are dead. Don't worry about it. But maybe some people may rise and become aware and start teaching the real message of the Quran. Yep. They cannot challenge it. for the moment, your prayer is challenged already. They have their own prayers as well. So what? Your belief in God is already challenged. They believe in God as well. Yeah, the money says, oh, in God we trust. What is the problem? Nothing. But when you start teaching the gist, the main core message of the Quran, Tawheed, submit, solve all your problems with the Quran. Follow the teachings of the Quran in your personal spiritual problems to be cured. You will be cured, as the author demonstrates here in this text. You will be cured. Who can challenge with this idea? Which philosophy can challenge this idea? The best philosophy to challenge this idea is hedonism. Enjoy your life. Be comfortable with your life. Follow the Buddhist yoga tradition. Control yourself. Don't be carried away by your ambitions. You are okay. Until, yeah, I am comfortable with the word, but my human side says what? My human side forces me what? Hey, yes, but it is, every day is going. Your life is going. As you think you are enjoying yourself, at the same time, as if you are making some profit, and immediately adjacent to it, you are losing the profit. Come. How can you enjoy your life as a human being? Yes, animal doesn't know the past and future. Most probably they don't want, they seem to be not worrying about it according to our perception. In reality, we don't know. But they may enjoy it. For example, if someone doesn't have minds, doesn't have consciousness, then they may enjoy, those lunatic people may enjoy their life, correct, because they don't live human life for any reason. But how about the unbelievers, evildoers, following their egos? Can they ever enjoy their life? While they are indulged in their ignorance, in their evil doings, in their meaningless life, somebody comes, says, okay, for example, let me give you an example. Go to a bar. Now, after Friday, sometimes after 7, 8 o'clock, and say, hey, excuse me, gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen. Yeah, okay. I have got a good news for you. I have a news for you. What? You know, if you go out there, everybody will give you $1,000. Everybody will get $1,000 without any problem. Go and get it in a minute. You don't have to wait in a line or something. Do they say, yeah, you are disturbing us? Any answer from anybody? Hey, we are enjoying, we have been enjoying our life. You disturbed us. You said, come on, go out, and we stopped our enjoyment conversations among ourselves. Do they complain? An answer? Guess.
There is an answer in the chat box. No.
No. I agree. That's my guess. If someone says there is a sale here, cheap, everything is free, speaks to them, interrupts them, would they get disappointed with this man? No, he said, oh, thank you, letting us know. But if you dare to do this, go to the pub and say, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to tell you one sentence and you leave you alone with your life. You will die one day, inevitable. Bye-bye. What they will say? These religious people are lunatics, crazy, just destroy our enjoyment. $1,000 was okay. Yep. Sale announcement was okay. But isn't that the truth? This gentleman, this person said, you will die one day, definitely. It is the most realistic truth that one can hear. No one ever can deny this. No one, even in anyone's mind, passes this that I am not going to die. From anyone's mind, it's so real. I can tell you, really, it is so real than your existence. For ordinary people, I'm not saying you, this people here. For an ordinary general public, death is more real than somebody's existence, but they are not aware of their existence, sometimes, at least. But death is so real. You just said the sentence and left the bar. What happens? I think this is the word, isn't it? Lynch. They try to lynch you. Why? ولا تزد الظالمين إلا خسارة. Yeah, the Quranic message. The Quranic message destroys, ruins the life of wrongdoers. Isn't that true? What a beautiful reality that we are facing in the explanations or the news of the Quran. You can understand easily that this verse is from your Creator, a reminder, a reminder. You know the truth, but you don't know how to discover it. It just helps you discover it, reminds you. Quran is a reminder. Quran is, never forget this. Quran is a reminder. Remind us what your reality is. We may never be able to discover by ourselves. It is beautiful, but I don't want to occupy the whole session. I'm sorry. I am excited with this word and relationship with the subject. It is beautiful. We have to learn how to benefit from the Quran. I am sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not at all. That was very pleasurable for me to listen to. I'm sure everyone else would agree. We got an endorsement there. Yeah, so there were quite a few points that you made. So I'm going to try to summarize, I guess, the main points that I got. But one being that I guess in my approach to the Quran, I need to diagnose why it is that I'm diagnose my motive or my intention and what is it that I'm trying to achieve for myself in approaching the Quran. If what type of benefit am I seeking from it? And as you said, the author here makes a very, like, it draws a very vivid image of this sort of state that he's in, that's caused as a result of this transience that he experiences. But in a way, it's also he's very aware of the state that he's in, and that it goes against his expectations, which brings me to the other point that I took away was that to the extent that I'm aware of my own reality, or to the extent that the author here highlighted an expectation that he had of somebody, and then when that person was taken away, then in a way it's through that he becomes further aware of something, of his state, and seeks a remedy for what we are referring to as one's human side, or one spirit, which doesn't necessarily exist alone, or doesn't exist disconnected from the body, but there is a distinction that is to be made there. So I need to, you know, I need to ask myself, do I feel the need to get guidance from my creator? And what kind of needs do I have that in reading such a book, that this book will guide me? And the guidance that I receive from it will speak to me as far as what I'm asking from it. So what I ask from it will, what I receive from it will be a reflection of what I ask from it. So those would be my main points right off the top of my head. Thank you for sharing your excitement with the text as well. There's a lot to cover, but I just wanted to take a moment to give everybody else a moment or a chance to speak. If they have any questions or anything in particular that they want to highlight, or maybe some reflections that they've had that they'd like to share. Okay, inshallah, we can continue reflecting. So yeah, the difference, you know, I this verse, everything shall perish save his countenance, his is the command, and to him shall you return. I find it, it's always interesting to me how the author kind of like says, you know, I was in this state of being, and he draws a very emotional picture, and then like all of a sudden he has this, like he says, this particular verse came to my aid, or unfolded to me some sort of meaning that addressed his wounds. But I guess like just the beginning of the verse, everything shall perish. I like when I reflect on it, it seems pretty I don't know if I'm taking things for granted, but it seems pretty clear to me, like everything is in a state of change. Everything is constantly leaving me. I'm leaving myself in a weird sort of way. Myself was from this morning is no longer here. And if I am to be honest with myself, I'm not just with this realization, I'm not at ease with myself. And I think like in particular, the author does highlight the sort of separation, or I guess like expectations and separation from like actual other human beings as well. But I think one can kind of extend that to everything or anything in existence. But yeah, so I'm just going to take another pause here and give everyone a moment to reflect and see if anyone has anything that they'd like to further reflect on, maybe something that attracted their attention, or a question they have. Please, awesome. Thank you. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, no. So basically, I was just wanted to add to your summary about what Brother Ali was saying about really feeling the need to seek guidance. That's right now on my mind. How do I experience, really use myself in terms of how do I really get that, because normally the feeling that actual need is not something that, okay, this is not, something we do as kind of a ritual aspect, but more of a really listening to myself and really contemplating and seeing that, you know, what is not that what my spirit is telling me, as is mentioned. And I really like that phrase about the, you know, where he mentioned about the sacred pharmacy. He said there are remedies in that sacred pharmacy to heal all your difficulties if you have recourse to it through belief and make use of those remedies. And this is as we were talking, I think Brother Ali was highlighting about the, you know, the spiritual healing in terms of the shifa and the verse that Brother Ali shared also. I think it's something that I think we need to look at and study further. And this also like reminded me about the previous Hope's verse about your creation and your resurrection is as a single soul. So to what Beza you were mentioning about, you know, everything shall perish save his countenance. I think they kind of tie together in terms of really when you think about it and you really are, you know, in deep seek or searching for what your purpose and what yours really why you're here and really what do you think of your existence, how do you make out of it, and you're looking for the answers to your, you know, your human existential questions and concerns and really trying to understand what all that means. And really those two verses I think, and I mean Brother Ali explained them, but really they do come and clear out what the concerns are in terms of really seeking, going back to who you're, what, where can you put your hopes and who is the one who fulfills those hopes and desires and really is the answer to every spiritual um, problem or concern you have. So every, you know, it says, make sure to use all of those, you know, make use of that pharmacy for all to find the remedies for all your concerns. So just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, thank you. That reminds me of this part after the three corpses, the first paragraph after that. I really like this part of this text where he says, since Almighty God exists, he takes the place of everything. Since he is eternal, he is surely sufficient. A single manifestation of his grace takes the place of the whole world. One manifestation of his light infuses with life the three vast corpses mentioned above, showing that they are not corpses, but having completed their duties, have departed for other worlds. So I think just going along with what you've been saying, like this kind of the remedy or the cure that is being presented here is directly linked to what the illness or what the pain seems to be stemming from, this sort of transience and this perishing away. But since Almighty God exists, since the one who is independent, who is not subject to the order, who is the source of existence of everything, then he can take place of everything. Then I have a secure point of reference that I can connect myself to. And I'm connected to him by virtue of having been created by him through my createdness, as he is the source of my existence. My existence essentially belongs to him. So it says a single manifestation of his grace takes the place of the whole world. Like in a way, like whatever it is that I seem to be experiencing the perishing of, that is leaving me, the separation, and in a way they're just like placeholders, but what are they holding the place of, and what is it that I'm seeking? One that is eternal, one that is independent, one is that is sufficient, and in being so, then is sufficient for me. But I wanted to read Muhammad Said's comment here as well. He says, the moment of realization that I cannot rely on anything. So the moment I realize I cannot rely on anything, since they all share the same reality, like Abdur Rahman, the moment I realize I cannot rely on anything, since they all share the same reality, like Abdur Rahman, is equally valuable as the conclusion that only the creator of the things can be relied on. As the endless source of existence. Okay. So through the message coming from his speech, our sorrows, contradictions, and separations gain meaning. Otherwise, these experiences become meaningless. So I'm going to ask Muhammad Said if you can expound on this beautiful comment that you shared, if you'd like to speak further onto it.
I think the verse that was shared, uh, Ali Mermer shared, is I kind of I was inspired by that verse that the separations, the sorrows are visiting from time to time, and what to do with them. You know, they have to be meaningful for me so that I can be in peace with those experiences. And I think through the text, through the experience of Nursi, I kind of realized that this is the usually in the cultural way, the sorrows and separations are deemed, you know, they are perceived as bad, and the way to deal with this bad experience is just to ignore them and try to ignore them. But you know, that's the reality. The separation is the reality. So there's only one way. I cannot get rid of that reality. I cannot change the way the existence is. So through the message of the creator, those experiences gain meaning without, you know, without attempting to change anything in the universe as it is. It shows that my sorrow, my separation, takes me the to the endless source of the existence, and then they become meaningful. Not sure if it is clear.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's through the realization that or rather that through these experiences, let me I'm just going to take a moment to collect my thoughts. So my experience of the perishing or the transience of something then in such a case becomes meaningful for me just through finding finding the source to which that I can rely on, that I feel secure in it being the source of existence, like being independent, being infinite, being absolute. And this addresses my, as you said, my sorrows, my contradictions, my experiences that I don't necessarily prefer to have, but the experience itself then also becomes meaningful too. I think this goes, you know, along the lines of what Adi Marmar was saying before about, you know, just believing in the necessity existence of God in and of itself is a starting point, but it's not sufficient. And I can come to this conclusion through my experiences in the universe, but it does not address all of these other, day-to-day experiences that I have. And it just seems to be like a band-aid to a much deeper wound that needs much more attention and care. And it's necessary for me to, if I don't accept that there must be a creator, then I can't necessarily be open to receiving any sort of guidance, because that's contradictory in and of itself. But the belief in the existence of God or a creator or a source of existence doesn't, or in and of itself, does not address all these other human spiritual wounds that I experience as a result of or just in my sorrows, or emotional encounters, I'll call it. And we are out of time, but I'd like to take a moment to see if anyone has any final comments or anything that they'd like to share. If not, then I think we can close for today, inshallah. Thank you. Please feel free to go ahead, Faria.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you're all knowledgeable, all wise. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة سر سورة الفاتحة. آمين.